Mm-mm. Question time.
No, this isn't question time.
Isn't it?
No,
Oh.
no one's asked us to read this.
Oh, this is not a question time.
Alright, so we just read through some by a guy called Steve Gluck. We sort of stumbled upon a video of him talking about the art of boxing, didn't we?
Yeah, very interesting on YouTube. If you can get to watch it, watch it. It's 7 minutes long, but it's interesting, very.
It's similar to everything that you say as well, really, isn't it? You know.
Well, yeah, but he goes into it a little bit more depth how, since boxing has changed, humanity seems to have changed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with the stand-up boxing of old,
Yeah.
there was no dirty fighting and infighting and all that lot. And society seemed to be a little bit more straighter as well. But now it's all backstabbing, hitting below the belt, all metaphors.
It went through sort of like a temporary phase almost.
Yeah.
If you want to think of it like that, because we went to his site, didn't we, as well? I
No.
can't remember what the site was called. I think it was like Boxing Arts or something, and there's
No,
only one
boxing.
thing on it, and it was called let's have a look. Commentary on boxing and culture. And sorry, you look like you were going to say something there.
No, I lost because I can't remember that one.
That's just what we've been reading on that one. Anyway, right, I read that through to you and everything, and it starts off with fighting as a part of human nature, especially in younger people, and then it starts going off on no matter what class system you're in, you probably inevitably come into some way of fighting, like use in the street and fucking, and then it gets to police and all this sort of stuff. It's basically just saying naturally speaking, fighting is an initial thing in a young man's life.
Well, it's nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just nature in all animals.
Mm.
You get to a certain age where you've got to test the waters, find out where you are in this world.
Yeah.
Where you belong, where your positioning is, and most of it's down through violence, through fighting.
Yeah.
But because we're human and civilized, and what boxing teaches you don't hit a man when he's on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You leave him, you give him a chance to stand up.
Well, that's a big thing this guy talks about in all this stuff, and it's really well written. For some reason, the first half of it didn't seem to talk too much about boxing. It seemed to be more about American history for the first half of the whole writing. But it's good. It's good writing. But he does say once he starts getting in,
our society deteriorated with the deterioration of boxing.
Yeah, but he does say when he starts talking about the boxing, it's exactly what you just said, and the exact rule is no person is to hit his adversary
when he's on the floor.
When down, yeah.
When he's on the floor, you don't. You know what I mean?
And he goes on to say this is proof that it's a gentleman's sport.
It's like it's about in honour. And it's like it's not wrestling as well. You don't hold somebody to get them to submit because you don't want them to submit.
Well, that's the thing. He also explains that boxing wasn't always the way it was when it was, when it was
when it
completed, so to speak.
When it first came in, like you said, well, that was the first rule. And then it was like the Marquis of Queensberry came back in with more stand-up. So it become a stand-up fight. Yeah. Between two men, a fair fight.
Yeah. That's one thing he talks about, isn't it? He says the whole system of a boxer is to have forthrightness. This is the exact words he used. Forthrightness, directionness in all adversarial relationships.
Well, if you see most of the boxers back in when boxing was like at its peak, the behaviour was impeccable. It was like there was stand up and forthright and truthful.
Yeah.
And that's what you got when you seen them in the ring.
Yeah.
Now you don't get that at press conferences. You don't see stand up guys.
Yeah.
You see little snakes, and then in the ring, the snake and then the whinge and bitch about the performance and blame.
Yeah.
And to me, that's not boxing.
Would you say it's almost become like a childish attitude? Not a childish game, so to speak, but a childish attitude. And that affects the game in general.
Like I said, they've lost it.
Yeah.
They've lost what boxing is. It's an honourable sport. It's where you can be a man and act the gentleman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got a guy hurt. Why do you need to hit him when he's on the way down? Where's the control in that? Where's the humanity in that? You've got a man beat and you've got to hit him again.
Well,
that to me is sick.
Well, the whole thing about controllers as well, he starts talking about how boxing and wrestling were intertwined at one point before boxing became this independent art form, and that boxing isn't about that. I mean, in terms of connection to wrestling, it's not about submitting another person.
No, getting another person to submit.
Yeah, because he started going off about how boxing gives freedom.
Well,
and no free man in himself would ever want to be submitted, nor would he want to commit a submission.
Or would we want anybody else? Yeah, basically it's like we want to live free. And the only way we can be free is if everybody else is free. I'm going in a ring to stand up and show you that I am this man. I ain't going to fight dirty. If you're on the floor, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you're defenceless, don't worry about it, because I'm not going to whip you. I've got no need to.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to prove.
Yeah.
And it seems like most people are looking for something to prove. They want to be loved or they want to be liked.
Yeah.
Where boxing, to me, really isn't about that.
Yeah.
It's more about finding out who you are and where you stand. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, it's kind of difficult.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's boxing to me, I loved it. And that's it, period.
Yeah.
I could see all the benefits of it.
Right.
I couldn't see any of not the benefits. Even as a kid, going to the gym, I never used to like to go, but when I got there, I loved it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I always had fun, I always played, and I always learned. It was always enjoyable.
See, this is a point about the gyms as well, because what he writes is really, really long, and there's so many different points in it and stuff. And he talks at one point about the gyms of today, and this is a thing I want to get your opinion on. Like, this dude doesn't really seem to give enthusiasm to MMA.
Look, it's a different sport. It's not.
But in what he writes, he seems angry that it's all MMA gyms now. And
no, what he's trying to sort of like look is boxing. Most back in the day, boxing, there were a lot of boxing gyms. Like I was discussing it before, within a mile of my gym, there were another 2 gyms, St. Pat's and Market District, and they were packed.
Right.
Nowadays, there isn't that many boxing gyms. They're all like martial artist gyms.
Right.
And it's like he comes up with a comparison. In the East, where the martial arts come from, it's all about government control. You've got no freedom. In the West, where boxing is, it's about freedom.
Right.
And it's, if you have a look at the martial arts, is when a man's on the floor, it's free game.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's not an honourable sport. If a man's defenceless,
he
can still get hit. That to me is not what humanity is about.
See, I've got contradictory views about it. I'm not too sure where I stand, because I do enjoy MMA. I like watching UFC and stuff like that. I do like it.
Something, I can see the artistry in it.
But what I'm saying is, these people, if they do get on the floor, are trained to defend themselves still on the floor, which boxing isn't.
Yeah,
you know,
but the thing is,
obviously.
what I'm trying to say is, like, in boxing and in MMA now, there don't seem to be much control. Where are all martial arts forms about control? Now, if I've got somebody hurt and he's really hurt, I ain't hitting him again. I'm not.
These are the honourable rules of boxing, which maybe differ to the honourable rules of MMA.
But we're on about boxing, a part of civilization, and now it is sort of like entwined with the rules of civilization and the rules of boxing. You don't hit a defenceless person. That is uncivilized.
Unless they know.
No, that is no. That is uncivilized. If you're defenceless, that means you're defenceless. Whether you know how to defend yourself or not, you are defenceless. One second, I want to stop this. You can be knocked out and on your feet,
Yeah.
but you don't deserve to be hit again. Yeah? The
Right.
fight is over. You're gone. The next punch can kill the man. Do you want to do that? Do you want to be responsible for that? You see, the thing is I'm not an animal.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a human being.
I think.
And I've got care and compassion for the person in the ring with me.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair enough.
And
But
that's what boxing teaches you. We're on about boxing. We're not on about fighting. There's two differences.
Yeah, yeah.
Boxing is beautiful. Fighting isn't.
Right.
Fighting's ugly.
But I think.
Fighting's barbaric.
Don't you think the question lies in, can a person be on easy defence when they're on the ground?
It's not about that. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with hitting a man when he's down. It's not done. It's not done.
So would you want to take this away from MMA?
No, no,
Ground game?
no, no, no. What I'm trying to explain is
Right.
boxing is set aside from all other sports.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's separate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
MMA's got its place for the people who want to do that. I've got no doubts that, but if it was there back in the day, I'd have had a go at it.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? Because to me, I want to get involved. I want to know who I am. I want to
Yeah,
know how
yeah,
capable
yeah,
I am.
yeah.
And it's like, who can I test myself against? I can't test myself against the mountain. It doesn't move. It doesn't do anything. It's just a frigging mountain.
So
When I'm in a ring, everything changes. Every opponent's different. Everything is a challenge. And it changes constantly.
with what you just said about boxing being a completely separate sport, that's actually like basically the line this Steve guy ends on. He says, compared to boxing, all other forms of human competition shrink to insignificance.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate.
Right.
It is the ultimate in control. Boxing is the ultimate in control.
Right.
Simple. When you've got a man hurt, it happened to me and my trainer went mad with me, and that's when I had a trainer and I didn't have a teacher.
Mm.
My first professional trainer, Peter Coleman. I hit a guy and I broke his jaw with a left hook, and we were in the corner and he was just hung there. And I stepped back and the referee told me to box on. I just looked at the referee and stepped back again.
Right, right.
When the referee seen him, he grabbed him and put him to the corner.
Right.
When I went back to my corner, my trainer's going mad with me. Why the fuck didn't you hit me again? I just went, I could have killed him. I'm not an animal. He'd have done it to you. I just went, I'm not him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm me. I don't want to hurt nobody. I just want to win the fight.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to put what I've learned to a test.
Yeah. And it's
With-
like what you say, you don't want to be counted on aggression.
But not because the thing is for me, boxing is about hitting and not being hit. So I was taught, if you're throwing a punch, you're at a disadvantage, you're leaving yourself open. So I was taught to sort of like draw leads, counter punch.
Right.
So you do a little feint, you draw his lead, and you counter punch because he's made an opening. So if I can go in the ring and not get hit, that's my job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My job is not to get hit. I've got to walk out of that ring without a mark on me. If I get hit, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect. So if I can get in there and take a guy out very, very quickly, I will do. I ain't in there for no long haul. If I can get you out of there, I will get you out of there. If I can't get you out of there, then I've got to make sure I don't get hit. I've got to win every round by not getting hit. That's what boxing is.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not one of these who run.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? I will stand and I will throw punches.
yeah. Right.
Because you have got to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only way you're going to keep somebody off coming from you is to give him something to think about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the best way to do that is to develop a very good jab.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's the first thing he's going to come into contact with is your jab.
Right.
So you make sure that's very hard, very fast, and powerful, and you can keep it going all through the fight. When everything goes wrong, get back on your jab.
Yeah, yeah.
Back on the jab. And it conserves energy.
Yeah, yeah.
You're tired, you're back on your jab.
He talks about that as well. Not in the article, but in the video, he compares Tyson to Ali.
How they conserve energy and how
Yeah,
they use
yeah,
energy.
yeah,
Yeah. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. He comes up with some really good points.
He seems like a smart guy.
You know, he's a guy who knows boxing.
Yeah.
And what gets me is like, there were only 6,500 people who've had a look at him, and I'm just thinking that's the state of boxing now.
Yeah.
It seems like the authorities have killed it. I think it's time to bring it back, and that's what Beats Boxing's about, bringing back the honour of what boxing is.
Alright, well, we'll end that one there, yeah. Okay.
I like that. That was good.